Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. No jokes, no build-up, I'll just say it. The night she walked out that door, something inside me split, and I've been trying to glue myself back together ever since. Part 1. She closed the door softly, but it slammed in my soul. "Don't wait up," she said. She didn't shout it. She didn't even pause when she said it. She just slipped on her earrings, clicked her clutch shut, and floated out of our apartment like it wasn't the last time I'd ever recognize her. The dress was too elegant for a normal party. Too sharp. Too dangerous. I noticed, but I didn't say anything. I never do. That's my thing. I swallow everything. Discomfort, doubt, warnings from my gut. Like I'm built to absorb it all and smile politely. But I didn't smile that night, because I saw the invitation. I wasn't supposed to. But she'd left her email open on the laptop and a pop-up caught my eye. Midnight Masquerade, one night. One choice. No names. She told me it was just some art fundraiser with her coworkers. Creative professionals only, she'd said, whatever that means. But that email said nothing about art or work or fundraisers. It was vague, mysterious, and designed to keep people like me out. So yeah, I read it. I read it 3 times. And when I asked her what it was, she brushed me off with a kiss on the cheek and a look that said, "You wouldn't understand." She was right. I didn't. But I do now. She came back at 3:08 a.m. Hair a mess. Lipstick smeared. No earrings. No clutch. Just her phone. In her hand. Glowing with a message from someone saved under a single emoji. She thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I pretended. I listened. She whispered into the phone. It was more than I expected. "I don't know what I'm going to do now." That sentence. It echoed in my chest louder than any scream. I stared at the ceiling until dawn. And the next morning I checked the trash. What I found in there confirmed every fear I never wanted to name. But I'll tell you that in part 2. I've never been the kind of guy who snoops. I always believed trust was supposed to be earned, sure, but also given freely like a gift. But that morning, when Delilah stayed in bed pretending to be asleep, I went to the kitchen, made coffee with shaking hands, and opened the trash bin like it might bite me. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. I just knew something was wrong. My body knew it. The way her eyes avoided mine. The way her perfume still lingered in the air. But her presence didn't. Something was gone. At the bottom of the trash, under a crumpled takeout bag and what looked like the wrapper from one of her expensive chocolates, I saw it, the invitation. The same one I had seen as a digital flyer the day before. But now I was holding the real thing. A smooth, black card with no sender. No address. Just 3 embossed words in deep red foil. You were chosen. No one's name. No RSVP instructions. Just that. It was cold in my hand. Why would she throw it away if the event just happened? Why hide it unless she didn't want to be reminded? I sat at the table staring at it until the coffee went cold. And then something pulled me to her phone. Again, I'm not a snoop. I hate what that says about me. But my hands moved faster than my shame. Her lock code hadn't changed. 0423, our wedding anniversary. Funny how people keep using symbols of love to bury betrayal. I opened her messages. Nothing. I checked recent calls. Nothing weird. But then I saw the wilted flower again, and my stomach knotted. It wasn't under contacts. It wasn't even a saved number. It was just a string of texts buried in the archive. She must have hidden the whole conversation after coming home. I opened it. The last message from him said, "I still feel your heartbeat." No punctuation. No context. Just that. And her reply? "I haven't stopped shaking." I nearly dropped the phone. My palms were sweaty, my mouth dry. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't even speak. I looked toward the bedroom door. Still shut. Still quiet. She was in there. Maybe asleep, maybe pretending. While I sat at our kitchen table feeling like my entire reality had been rewritten in the middle of the night. And for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the woman I married. But I wasn't done digging. Not even close. I didn't confront her. Not yet. You'd think I would have. Storm into the bedroom, toss her phone onto the bed, demand answers, maybe even cry. But no. I just sat there, paralyzed, numb. My thoughts were racing, but my body had checked out. I heard the floorboards creak as she got up, her footsteps light and casual like nothing had happened. She yawned as she entered the kitchen, acting like it was just another slow Saturday morning. And me? I sat at the table gripping my coffee mug so tightly it should have cracked. She glanced at me, then at the untouched breakfast. "You okay?" she asked, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I nodded. I lied. Just didn't sleep much. She didn't press. She never does when she knows something's off, when she knows she's the reason. She just poured herself orange juice and opened the fridge like it wasn't her lies chilling the air between us. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. She flinched, caught it. A name popped up this time, or rather a new symbol, a white chess piece. Knight? What kind of grown adult uses emojis to label contacts unless they're hiding something? Her hand snapped out to silence it before I could look again, but I saw enough. She smiled. Spam. Sure. When she went to shower, I stood up, heart racing, hands trembling. I went to her purse. I wasn't going to. I swore I wouldn't. But something told me whatever she was keeping, it wasn't on her phone anymore. The phone was just the surface. The purse, her real world, held things she hadn't had time to erase. I found the mask first. Black velvet with a gold trim. Elegant. But the lipstick smudges on the inside weren't her usual shade. Too red. Too bold. There was a hotel card key tucked in the side pocket. No branding. Just a magnetic stripe and a small sticker on it that read Room 308. My stomach turned. And then the worst part. A small folded note. I unfolded it slowly, like it might burn me. It said, "Next time, don't leave so early. I wasn't finished with you." No name, just those words, written in messy, hurried handwriting like someone had scribbled it in the heat of the moment. I nearly dropped it. I stared at the purse, the mask, the keycard, the note, and I realized something awful. I didn't know what kind of party she went to, but she wasn't the same person who left this house the night before. And I wasn't sure I wanted to know who she was becoming. I didn't say a word all weekend, and she didn't ask why. It was like we were both pretending the silence was peace, when in truth it was war, just quieter. Every time I looked at her, I saw that note. Every time I heard her phone buzz, I imagined the masked man behind the chess piece emoji waiting for his next move. I couldn't take it anymore. So on Monday, while she was at work and I was working from home, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I drove to the address on the back of the card key. It wasn't even a hotel in the traditional sense. More like a luxury suite rental, high-end, discreet, no lobby. You use the key, go straight to the room, and leave. No names, no questions. I hesitated at the door to room 308. For a full minute, I stood there with my heart pounding so hard I thought I might black out. Then I slid the card. The lock clicked. I stepped inside. The room smelled faintly of cologne and vanilla. It wasn't messy. No sheets on the floor, no clothes tossed around. But something about it felt used. Like the walls remembered. Like they were whispering things I wasn't supposed to hear. I scanned everything. The minibar. The bed. The side tables. That's when I saw it. Under the bed, just barely peeking out, her earring. The silver one I bought her 3 birthdays ago. The one with the tiny emerald bead. She hadn't worn it in months. I dropped to my knees and pulled it out. My hands were shaking again. It was hers. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the second keycard still sitting in the slot on the wall. Meaning someone else had been here after her. Someone who left the lights on, the AC running. Someone who had reason to believe they'd be back. I should have left. But I couldn't. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall for what felt like an hour. I tried to imagine what happened here. Tried to imagine her face. Was she laughing? Whispering? Did she lie on this bed and think of me even once? I left that room with the earring in my pocket and the kind of ache that doesn't go away with sleep or pills. It buries itself in your chest and pretends it belongs there. When she got home that night, I looked at her like I was seeing a stranger. She smiled, kissed my cheek, asked how my day was. I lied, said it was fine. But inside, something had changed. I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I was certain, and I needed to know everything. I thought I could just hold it all in, pretend, be patient, wait for her to slip. But the longer I stayed silent, the louder the thoughts screamed in my head. Every smile from her felt rehearsed. Every laugh was too light, too calculated. It got to a point where I couldn't even eat without wondering whose hands had touched her before mine. That note kept replaying in my mind. Next time, don't leave so early. Was it a warning? Promise? A threat? Couldn't sleep. So I did something else. I pulled up our phone records. Delilah's always been careless with tech stuff. Uses the same passcodes, never clears sync data. I checked our shared account. One number kept popping up over the past 2 months. Always around midnight. Sometimes for 3 minutes. Sometimes for over an hour. Copied it down. I told myself I wouldn't call. But I did. It rang once. Twice. Then a voice answered. Low and flat. Yeah. I froze. I hadn't planned what to say. My heart was beating so hard I had to swallow just to get the words out. Who is this? Silence. Then the voice said, Depends who's asking. I hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, chest heaving, and realized what scared me most wasn't that voice. It was that I recognized nothing about it, and yet it felt like it belonged in my house more than I did. The next day, I didn't tell her. I didn't ask. I just watched her. Everything about her felt like a lie, her fingers tapping the wine glass at dinner, her way of sitting just a little too perfectly, like she was still performing for someone who wasn't me. That night, I went into the guest room and opened the old keepsake box she'd once told me never to touch. She said it was full of her private past. Back then, I respected that. Back then, I was naive. Now, I needed truth more than I needed boundaries. The box wasn't full of memories. It was full of things that didn't belong. Half-burnt photos of men I'd never seen. Receipts for hotel rooms in cities we'd never visited together. A folded napkin with lipstick on it and the words, You said this would be the last time. I sat on the floor, surrounded by her secrets, and felt like the walls were closing in. I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being erased. I don't know how long I sat there on the floor, surrounded by things that didn't belong to my life, or maybe things that did, but I had been too blind to see. That box felt like it had been waiting for me to open it, like it knew I would, eventually. Everything inside it whispered the same thing. You've never really known her. I gathered the photos and receipts and tucked them back carefully. But one thing had slipped behind the dresser when I opened the lid too quickly. A cream-colored envelope, sealed. No stamp, no address, just my name in handwriting I recognized immediately. Hers. I should have stopped. I should have respected the fact that maybe this was something she'd written and never intended to send. But after everything I'd seen, I couldn't ignore it. My hands trembled as I broke the seal and unfolded the paper inside. Everett, it began. If you're reading this, I either messed up or got scared. Maybe both. I don't know how to tell you these things face to face. You always look at me like I'm good. And I'm not. I haven't been for a long time. Couldn't breathe. She went on, talking about how she felt suffocated. How she missed feeling alive. How sometimes the thrill of being desired by someone new felt like oxygen after years underwater. She said she didn't stop loving me, just started needing something else too. Then came the part one can't forget. I promise it was only supposed to be once. That party was just the beginning. Not because I planned it, but because I didn't stop it. I dropped the letter halfway through. I couldn't finish. Not then. The words crawled into my chest and stayed there, gnawing. It wasn't just betrayal. It was confession. Private one. Honest, painful, and deliberate. She had written it and hidden it. Buried it under false nostalgia. Probably hoping she'd never need it. But now I had it, and I couldn't unread it. That night, I watched her sleep, peacefully, like none of this ever touched her. Like my unraveling didn't echo in the same room where she rested so easily. And in that moment, I realized something worse than being cheated on. I was the only one losing sleep. The next morning, I didn't say anything about the letter. Couldn't. I just watched her move through the kitchen like nothing had happened. She poured her coffee, humming to herself, tapping her nails on the ceramic mug like she hadn't broken the ground beneath my feet. It felt surreal, watching the same woman who once cried at Pixar movies calmly sip coffee while hiding a second life from me. She asked if I wanted to go to the farmer's market that afternoon. I said yes. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to see how long she could pretend. Maybe I wanted to pretend with her. We strolled through rows of booths like any other couple. She picked out oranges, held my hand, laughed at something an old man said about fresh honey. She kissed my cheek when I held her bag. And all I could think about was how she once sat in a hotel room with someone else, probably laughing like this, probably holding someone else's hand. The performance was flawless. But mine was cracking. That night I finally spoke. We were brushing our teeth side by side. I looked at her in the mirror and asked, "Have you been honest with me lately?" She paused, just for a second, but long enough. She smiled. Of course, why? I swallowed my anger. No reason. And she kept brushing like nothing happened. But I knew then I wasn't going to get the truth from her. She'd already chosen to bury it. So I made a choice too. While she slept, I went back to her purse. She'd replaced the old mask with a new one. This one was white with silver feathers around the edges. I checked the phone again, but everything had been wiped. Even the archived texts. She was covering her tracks. But no one deletes GPS history from their car. I went outside and sat in her driver's seat. I pulled up the recent destinations. The last one wasn't the hotel. It was a private estate address about 45 minutes away, labeled only as Fox Face Fox Hollow. She'd been there 2 nights ago. I searched it online. Private property. Invitation-only events. No photos. No phone number. Just a tagline. For those who crave freedom behind the mask. She hadn't stopped. And I wasn't going to pretend anymore. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I'd done enough of that. In my head, in the silence, in every sleepless hour I'd wasted hoping she'd just be honest. But something about finding that Fox Hollow address, seeing how far she'd gone to hide her truth, finally cleared mine. I didn't need an explanation anymore. I needed freedom. So I wrote her a note. Simple. Quiet. I left it on the kitchen counter under her coffee mug. You chose your mask. I'm choosing to take mine off. Don't look for me. I'm done pretending. I packed a single bag. No dramatic exits. No threats. Just a slow, steady walk toward the door that had started closing long before I realized it. I didn't even feel pain at that moment. Just a weird kind of peace. Like I had been holding my breath for months and finally exhaled. I stayed with my brother for a while. Told him everything. And for the first time, I didn't feel stupid for being heartbroken. I didn't feel like a fool for loving someone who forgot how to love me back. I just felt human. A few weeks later, I signed the separation papers. No fireworks. No final speech. Just a quiet handshake at a notary office and a ride home under a sky that suddenly looked different. Now, I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I sleep again. I eat without guilt. I laugh and it feels real. I even started writing again. Something I gave up years ago when I made my whole life about holding someone else together. And maybe that's what this was all about. Losing her gave me back the parts of myself I didn't know I'd abandoned. So here's my question to you, Reddit Confessions family. What moment in this story hit you the hardest? Was it the note? The phone call? The mask? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk. If you've ever felt like you were living someone else's story, it's never too late to write your own. Thank you for being here with me. And remember, you're watching Reddit Confessions. See you in the next story.